With the success of Friends came an audience of millions. Every Thursday night, people would turn on and tune in to watch the show, follow each plot line and every detail of the characters' lives and looks. They connected with the audience in other ways as well.
They definitely also were trendsetters.
Friends was one of the first shows to really tap into, I think not entirely on purpose, but tapped into this thing where they could sell anything.
People are fascinated by them. They're fascinated by everything that they do, the clothes that they wear, you know. You see a picture of Matthew Perry at a tennis match, and it's on page 6 of the New York Post. It's in People magazine.
People were obsessed with this show, primarily because I think they felt they actually knew these people because they were so real.
It's not one character. There's always a bit of one and a bit of another, and I can understand every single character. To me, they're real people.
The Joey phrases. How you doing?
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
No, I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
I'll watch Friends. They have the nice stuff. I want to be like them. They got the nice clothes. They're all the good-looking people.
Because it was just this little show about 6 people hanging out in New York City. But I think Generation X really kind of clamped onto this show.
Could never date a Ross.
He gets himself into somebody just like a good predicament.
Characters are just an extension, I think, in a lot of ways, of who the Generation X and possibly the Generation Y are today.
I have been a fan of Friends since the first episode.
Syndication and coming on 4 times a day really helped me catch up and develop into near fanatic.
I've canceled classes because they interfered. I definitely won't go out. I don't care. I'm sorry if it's your birthday, but I can't go out.
I think a true fan is someone who can get all of the little things. In my senior year of high school, I had to run off to the mall to get the V-neck t-shirt that Jennifer Aniston used to wear on the show.
People get obsessed, particularly in the United States, about things that are on television over and over and over again.
If people saw Chandler's bowling shirt looking thing, they wanted to have it the next day. If they saw them with a great pair of socks, people wanted to have that the next day.
My assistant and I were shopping, and I couldn't decide between the really expensive socks and the normal price socks. And I was putting the expensive socks away, and the person behind the counter said, "Oh, excuse me, but you're shopping for Friends. I just want to say something. We noticed the socks. We noticed everything." It was the first time I thought, wow, we need to pay attention to every single detail.
But it really did sort of pioneer this notion that whatever the characters are using, then every fan is going to want to try to look for it tomorrow, so you better have it in the stores on the weekend.
People were always envying the girls' clothes because, of course, they never wore the same outfit twice, and they had beautiful, up-to-the-date, very hip outfits. And, there were definitely some fashion misses on that show, but they were always trying new things, and that's part of what fans like to tune in to see.
Also, Frisbee-sized coffee mugs was a major paradigm shift.
When you get down to it, Central Perk was sort of the 7th character in the show.
This was sort of the idealized coffee house where you could always get a seat and you could always just hang out for hours with your friends.
And of course, it spawned the entire coffee house movement across this country, which we have yet to really recover from.
The city was important in that, there were plot lines about finding apartments.
The kind of fictional New York that they live in has been a question for a lot of people. Like, how do people with those jobs live in that apartment?
Okay, so they were people who had apartments that nobody of their age and income should ever have had, and clothes that nobody in their age and income should ever have had.
With TV, there's always sort of a fantasy element.
The beauty of the show was it was kind of wish fulfillment.
They either were all moonlighting for escort services, or one of them was subletting from Lenny Kravitz.
Do we want to see them living in a studio apartment? No, we want to see them with all their furniture and, the dishes and the clothes, and that's what made, Friends Friends.
You just kind of take that stuff with a grain of salt because it's, TV, it's not reality.
A lot of shows you don't really imagine yourself being in, you just want to watch it and laugh for a while. This is that rare show where you laughed at it, but you wanted to be in it.
If the fans couldn't actually be on the show, they could still try to look and act like they were.
People were tuning in to see, what was the haircut and what was she wearing and her little mannerisms, and it was like a little fashion show.
I can hardly believe some of the decisions and the choices I made, but that's just about the evolution of fashion and the way things go. And I tried to keep things pretty much in a non-fashion, non-trend world. And interestingly enough, you know, we got so much attention about setting all these trends. That certainly was never the idea.
It wasn't like something like Sex and the City where Carrie Bradshaw would talk about Jimmy Choo shoes or Manala Blahniks, and, you know, women across the country and the world would want the exact same thing that she was wearing. Here they were wearing, you know, things that looked a lot better on them because they have better figures than most women, you know, anywhere.
It was 10 years of influence, trends, success, and fun. How did the show last this long?
I think that the cast members of Friends do understand the impact they have with, you know, the everyday guy or gal, because they remember how they were when they started off for that series, which was dirt poor. And I think that's one reason they've been able to sustain the show and the humor in the show for so long.
After a decade in the public eye, the Friends decided to call it a day and end on a high note. The series would end May 6, 2004. What's in store for the Friends in their final season? And what's next for the cast and their show's creators?
Up next, after 9 years, the top-rated comedy is finally awarded television's biggest honor.
That's sort of a recognition for its entire 10 years rather than just one of the seasons.